5 years ago, my fiancé's childhood sweetheart, Lily Lynn, was diagnosed with a terminal illness. He decisively called off our wedding and took her to travel the world to fulfill her bucket list. Now Lily has miraculously recovered, and he's back. He brought Lily home, saw that I was still living in the Carter house, and assumed I'd been waiting for him. In a grand show of mercy, he announced that I could stay. Lily just beat her illness, he said. Her emotions are still fragile. I'll allow you to keep living here to take care of her. I was silent for a moment, then answered softly, I'm already married. I don't need your permission to stay. He looked at me with open disdain. Don't joke around. Everyone knows you're hopelessly in love with me. Later, when he saw my marriage certificate, his face went chalk white. You're obviously my wife. Morning sunlight flooded the courtyard as I watered the roses. Suddenly, a voice behind me, familiar yet foreign, said, Ava Collins, I didn't expect you to still be living in the Carter house. My breath hitched and my hands stilled. I turned slowly to see Ethan Carter standing not far away, fingers intertwined with Lily's. 5 years had passed. The look he gave me held surprise, and a smugness that was hard to miss. Looks like you've been waiting for me to come back these 5 years, he said. I set down the watering can and wiped the water from my hands. Ethan drew Lily closer, his eyes full of showy pride. Lily's finally recovered. We spent 5 years traveling the world and fulfilled all her wishes. He gazed at her with deep affection before turning back to me. She's the only one I'll ever choose in this life. I lifted my head and met his eyes. Congratulations to you both, but I'm already married. Ethan blinked, then burst out laughing. Drop the act, Ava. Who doesn't know you're devoted to me? You've kept this empty house for 5 years, just waiting for me to turn back. His tone was arrogant, like a master dispensing favors. Lily just beat her illness. Her body is still weak and her mood is fragile. I'll let you keep living here so you can take care of her. Consider it compensation for living off my family for 5 years. This is me, Ethan Carter, showing special kindness. I shook my head and met his gaze steadily. I don't need your permission to stay here. A flicker of anger crossed his face, then he put on a look of absolute confidence. Don't forget, we never finished our wedding back then, and we never got the license. You've been a mere name in the Carter household for 5 years. To put it bluntly, you're nothing, just an outsider. In the sunlight, his features were still handsome, but to me they were blindingly harsh. 5 years is long enough to see a person's true face. 5 years ago, I stood in a lavish banquet hall in my wedding gown, heart overflowing with joy as I waited for my groom. But Ethan suddenly strode onto the stage, grabbed the microphone, and said, I'm sorry, everyone. Today's wedding is canceled. Lily has been diagnosed with a terminal illness. I have to be with her to the very end. Every guest's gaze snapped to me, sympathy, pity, shock, and the thrill of watching a spectacle, each look stabbing into my heart like a needle. In that moment, my world collapsed. My memories were cut off by Lily's soft, fragile voice. She lowered her eyes at just the right moment, her shoulders trembling slightly. Her tone was airy, yet every word hit its mark. Ethan, let's go. After all, Miss Collins has been living here these years. Our suddenly coming back is far too disruptive to her. She swayed and leaned into Ethan, as if a breeze might topple her. Only I knew the calculation and smugness hidden beneath those lowered lashes. Ethan immediately wrapped an arm around her waist as if shielding a rare treasure, his face taut with worry and tenderness. Don't say that, Lily. Your health comes first. This time, I won't let you suffer any grievances. Let's go home so you can rest, Ethan soothed Lily. But the moment he turned toward me, the tenderness on his face vanished, replaced by harshness. These past 5 years you've been living in my house. Every meal, every stitch of clothing, every necessity came from the Carters, while Lily was out there suffering, fighting for her life. Ava Collins, has your conscience been eaten by a dog? I took a deep breath, forcing down the emotions roiling in my chest, and tried to explain. Ethan Carter, you need to understand. Enough. He cut me off roughly. The only reason I let you stay was so you could take care of Lily, to make up for the debt of these 5 years. Since you're so ungrateful, get out of the Carter house right now. You don't have the right to make me leave, I said, lifting my head, my voice steady. At that moment, the butler Uncle Lee came out after hearing the commotion. "Ah, young master, you've returned." Then he turned respectfully to me. "Madam, the master called earlier to say he'd be home 30 minutes ahead of schedule. He's already on the way." The moment I heard that, my tense body finally relaxed. Good, since Liam Carter was coming home, there was no need to waste more words on these two hypocrites. Ethan seemed not to hear a thing we'd just said. In a commanding tone, he ordered, "Uncle Lee, prepare the main bedroom on the first floor. Lily's still weak, and climbing stairs would be too much for her." Uncle Lee's face tightened. "Young master, that room has already been converted into the little master's playroom. It's filled with his toys and books. I'm afraid it wouldn't be suitable." Ethan frowned, confusion flashing in his eyes. "Little master? Since when do I have a nephew?" Uncle Lee's expression softened with affection. "The young master is 4.5 years old, bright, clever, loves drawing and telling stories. You'll like him when you meet him." Ethan's face lit up in sudden realization. "I get it, Mom and Dad must have adopted a child while I was away." Watching him talk to himself, I could only sigh inwardly. 5 years had passed, yet he still lived entirely in his own world, never caring about anyone else's feelings or life. "Young master, you're mistaken," Uncle Lee quickly corrected. "The little master is the eldest young master's own flesh and blood. He's part of the Carter bloodline." Ethan let out a loud laugh, his eyes full of disbelief. "My brother actually got married and had a kid? Wasn't he the one who said he wouldn't think about personal matters until 40? Well, that's a miracle. I'd love to see which woman could tame my cold-faced brother." Uncle Lee hesitated, glancing at me with a questioning look. I gave him a small nod, signaling for him to speak plainly. He took a deep breath. "Young master, Miss Collins is your sister-in-law. She and the eldest young master have been married for more than 4 years. Ethan's smile froze instantly. 5 years ago, on that rainy night, when all the guests had left and I stood alone in the empty banquet hall, it was Liam Carter who approached me, offering a clean handkerchief. His voice was low and gentle as he said, "I'll take you home." From then on, Liam began to appear frequently in my life. He never mentioned Ethan, only quietly stayed by my side, helping me through the darkest days. He would bring me steaming late-night suppers when I worked overtime, remember the blooming season of every flower I liked, and on my birthday, gift me the dream I'd cherished for years, my own design studio. Love slipped into my life quietly, almost without my noticing. Before long, we held a simple but warm wedding. No grand spectacle, only the closest family and friends to witness our happiness. Ethan's body went rigid, his Adam's apple moving up and down with difficulty. After a long while, he finally found his voice and burst into a sharp, mocking laugh. "Don't be ridiculous. My brother could never marry you. He's always had impossibly high standards. How could he possibly be interested in an ordinary woman like you?" "Uncle Lee? Did she bribe you? She must have taken advantage of my absence these past few years to deliberately get close to my brother, trying to use the chance to climb up the social ladder." Uncle Lee wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Young master, Miss Collins truly is your sister-in-law. She and the eldest young master are deeply in love, and the little master will be starting kindergarten soon." Ethan looked at him as though he'd just heard the most absurd story in the world, let out a mocking laugh, and jabbed a finger toward me. "You? My sister-in-law?" Then he turned to Uncle Lee, his tone laced with threat. "Uncle Lee, are you senile, or has she filled your head with nonsense? 5 years gone, and she's gotten bolder. She even managed to buy you off." Watching him so certain he'd been deceived was almost laughable to me. Who was Liam Carter? The CEO of Carter Group, a man hailed across the industry as a business prodigy. Before the age of 30, he had led the company successfully into the international market, founded his own tech brand, and won more awards than he could count. In the entire Carter family, aside from my father-in-law, no one dared easily go against his decisions. And Liam had never once relied on family resources. He'd earned every ounce of respect through his own ability. The idea that he would allow me to use him to gain status was nothing short of a fantasy. In the early days of our marriage, I thought Liam had only taken me in out of sympathy and responsibility. I even secretly packed my suitcase, planning to leave once the scandal had passed. But the day I dragged my luggage to the door, he was standing there, holding a huge bouquet of sunflowers, his voice carrying a barely noticeable trace of hurt. "Why are you leaving? I didn't marry you out of pity. I married you because I truly love you." In that moment, I saw the sincerity and tenderness in his eyes, like a ray of light dispelling all my unease. From then on, I never doubted our marriage again. In these 5 years, I've had real love, a sweet little boy named Noah, and a career I'm passionate about. My life is 100 times fuller and happier than before. I shook my head, keeping my tone as calm as possible. "Ethan, 5 years have passed. Things have changed. You're overthinking this." Lily crossed her arms over her chest, her gaze dripping disdain. "Sister, you really are scheming, replacing all the other servants, winning over the old butler. You've been plotting this for so long." Before she could finish, I flung the water from the cup in my hand straight into her face. "Say that again." Ethan's face twisted with anger. "Ava Collins. I was even planning to give you $2 million as compensation so you'd sensibly leave the Carter family. Clearly, I've been far too kind. You've taken full advantage, enjoying the title of Mrs. Carter and all the luxury that comes with it for 5 years, while Lily endured pain and suffering and had to live here under your torment. Now, I order you to kneel down and apologize to Lily immediately." Uncle Lee's expression darkened, and he quickly stepped forward to stop him. "You mustn't, young master. Miss Collins is your sister-in-law, a senior in the family. How could you make her kneel?" If the master heard of this, I rose slowly to my feet and walked forward, my face completely expressionless. A flicker of triumph flashed in Lily's eyes, the corners of her lips lifting despite her attempt to hide it. She even stepped forward, putting on an air of magnanimity, ready to accept my apology. I stopped in front of her, and her smile grew brighter, only for me to walk right past her. I crouched down, opening my arms wide just as Noah came running full speed down the garden path, covered in dirt and clutching a fluttering butterfly in his small hands. "Mommy," he called out. Noah ran toward me, throwing himself into my arms with uncontained excitement. "Mommy, look, I caught a butterfly." Carefully, he opened his small palm to reveal a beautiful blue butterfly resting there, its wings gently spreading. I stroked his soft hair. "That's amazing. You caught such a beautiful butterfly. But the little butterfly needs to go home to find its mommy. How about we let it go?" Noah, sensible as ever, nodded and watched the butterfly fly away before tilting his face up to me again. Ethan stood frozen, staring at the scene. His expression shifted from shock to disbelief as his gaze locked on Noah's face. His voice trembled. "Ava Collins. Where did this kid come from? You promised that in this life, you would only have children with me." I bent down to pick Noah up, feeling only a wave of helplessness and bitter amusement. 5 years had passed, yet he still lived in his own fantasy, convinced the whole world revolved around him. Lily's eyes flickered, and her voice came soft but laced with clear mockery. "Ethan, don't be upset, but you know, this boy really does have some resemblance to you when you were little. Miss Collins, you didn't go find some random kid to pretend, did you?" Before she could finish, Noah frowned deeply, hugging my neck tight. "Mommy, this lady talks really weird. Is she a bad person?" The innocence of his words hit exactly where it hurt. Lily's face froze, her composure cracking. I suppressed a smile and patted Noah's back. "Don't say that. She's a guest." But Noah wriggled out of my arms, planting himself firmly in front of me with his little hands on his hips. "You're not allowed to bully my mommy. I'll protect her." Ethan's face darkened to an icy shade. "Shut up, you little bastard. Who said you could talk?" Those 3 venom-laced words, little bastard, stabbed into my heart like poisoned needles. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to resist the urge to slap him. Kneeling down, I spoke softly to Noah. "Sweetheart, go wash your hands with Grandpa Lee, okay? Daddy will be home soon." Uncle Lee immediately understood, taking Noah's hand. "Come on, little master. Let's wash up, and then you can give your daddy a surprise." Just then, the sound of a car engine came from outside the courtyard. I let out a quiet breath of relief. Reinforcements had arrived. Mr. and Mrs. Carter hurried into the courtyard. The moment Mrs. Carter saw Ethan, her eyes turned red and she rushed forward to hug her son tightly. But when Mr. Carter's gaze landed on Lily, his face darkened dangerously. "Who gave you permission to bring this woman back here?" Mrs. Carter quickly tugged at her husband's sleeve, whispering, Enough. Do you want your son to run away from home again? Ethan tightened his hold on Lily's waist and straightened his back. Dad, Mom, I'm going to marry Lily this time, and no one is going to stop me. I had no interest in listening to his bold declarations. My eyes went past them to the familiar black sedan that had just pulled smoothly through the gates and stopped a short distance away. The car door opened, and that tall, steady figure stepped out. The moment I saw Liam Carter, my heart finally settled. Liam walked into the courtyard with his calm, unhurried stride. His gaze slid over Ethan as though he were just a stranger. Then he came straight to my side and gently took my hand. Noah? He asked softly. Only then did Ethan seem to realize he'd been completely ignored. Straightening his posture with a hint of provocation, he spoke. Brother, you're just in time. I'm officially telling you, Ethan said, his tone full of certainty. I'm going to marry Lily. As for Ava Collins, he cast me a glance, his voice dripping with condescension. Since you waited for me for 5 years, you can keep staying in the Carter house as a maid or something. That's me being as generous as I can be. He paused, then raised a hand to point toward the direction where Noah had just left. But that kid, Noah, has to go. My child can only be the one I have with Lily. At last, Liam Carter turned his eyes toward him. His gaze was calm and without a ripple, yet it carried an invisible weight. He stepped forward slightly, placing me subtly behind him. His voice was quiet but carried clearly to every ear present. He's my son. Why should he leave? Hearing that, Ethan stumbled back half a step, his eyes wide with disbelief. That kid. You mean he's yours and— Yes, Liam cut in evenly. He's mine and Ava's. He reached into his jacket and pulled out our marriage certificate, opening it to show the photo of us together. Ethan's face drained of color instantly. But she's my wife. He muttered to himself, as if trying to convince the heir. Watch your tone, Liam said coldly. She is my wife now, my legal, rightful wife. Just then, Noah came running over. Without giving Ethan another glance, Liam put away the marriage certificate, bent down, and scooped Noah into his arms. What did you draw today, little artist? He asked gently. I drew the ocean and little fish. Noah beamed, wrapping his arms around Liam's neck. Daddy, I want to see your new designs. That warm father-son moment only made Ethan's face turn even paler. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Mr. and Mrs. Carter were about to speak, but Ethan suddenly took a step forward. Ava, how could you forget our love so quickly? Can you really just throw away what we had? His voice carried a note of choking desperation. 5 years ago, you swore you'd only ever love me. Liam let out a cold laugh. Is that so? Just like how you swore on your wedding day to take care of her for the rest of your life, and then turned around and left with another woman? What right do you have to talk about love? You don't even know what love is. Ethan's face turned the color of iron, and he was about to retort when Mr. Carter's stern voice cut in. Enough, Ethan. Mr. Carter's gaze was sharp and unyielding as it landed on his younger son. When you abandoned Ava, did you ever think about her feelings? For the past 5 years, it was Liam who stayed by her side through her hardest times. What right do you have to come back now and accuse anyone? But Dad, I didn't. Mr. Carter's voice rose. Liam and Ava's marriage has mine and your mother's blessing. You will respect that. Mrs. Carter stepped forward, giving Ethan's shoulder a gentle pat. Son, some things once missed are simply missed. You need to move on. Ethan's gaze was hollow as it lingered on Noah in Liam's arms. That crisp, happy daddy still echoed in his ears. He couldn't accept it, that the Ava Collins who once belonged only to him was now his brother's wife, with a child this big. Beside him, Lily's mind worked quickly. Sensing the atmosphere turning sharply against them, she suddenly pressed a hand to her chest, her face paling. Ethan, I'm not feeling well. Ethan's attention snapped to her instantly. He hurried forward to support her. Lily, what's wrong? Let's get you to the hospital. He lifted her into his arms and strode toward the exit. As they passed me, he paused for a fraction of a second, his eyes lingering on me with a complicated mix of emotions, resentment, unwillingness. Ava Collins, this isn't over, he murmured low, before carrying Lily out of the Carter estate without looking back. 3 days later in the afternoon, I was in the study organizing my design drafts when the doorbell rang. Opening the door, I found Ethan standing there. In just a few days, he looked like he'd lost weight. His eyes were bloodshot. "Ava, can we talk?" I hesitated for a moment, but in the end, I still let him in and led him to the living room. His gaze swept around the room before finally landing on the family portrait hanging on the wall. His Adam's apple bobbed. In the photo, Noah was in Liam's arms, and I was leaning against them, smiling with ease. "These past 5 years." Ethan's voice was dry and hoarse. "Not a single day went by that I didn't think about you." I picked up the glass of warm water beside me, not responding, simply watching him perform. "That year, I left you because I had no choice. Lily threatened that if I didn't go with her, she'd kill herself." A cold laugh escaped me. "So you decided that on our wedding day, in front of all our guests, you would abandon me?" Ethan lowered his head, his voice pleading. "But my feelings for you were real. Ava, give me one more chance. Just one. I can give you and your child the best life, better than my brother ever could." I stood and walked to the window, looking out at the greenery bathed in the golden light of the afternoon. "Ethan, my life now is already very good." I turned back, meeting his gaze steadily. "You can't give me what I want. You couldn't 5 years ago, and you certainly can't now." Watching the way his shoulders slowly sagged, I continued, "I love Liam Carter. He's given me respect, stability, and a real home. Those are things you'll never understand." Ethan's face went pale. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Lily standing there. Without waiting for my response, she pushed past me into the house. The moment she saw Ethan, her expression darkened. Well, Ethan Carter, I've been looking for you all day, and here you are hiding out." Then she turned on me, her eyes brimming with hostility. "Ava Collins, you really don't give up, do you? You're already married to Liam, yet you still seduce my Ethan." I looked at her calmly. "Lily, watch your words. This is my home, and I have every right to ask you to leave." "Leave?" She let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "Who do you think you are? Liam only married you out of pity. Who knows how much he secretly despises you?" "Is that so?" A cold voice came from the doorway. None of us had noticed when Liam appeared there, his expression stormy. Striding in with long, decisive steps, he brushed past me, and before Lily could react, a sharp smack echoed through the room. His hand had landed hard across her face. Lily staggered to the side, clutching her cheek, staring at him in shock, her eyes wide with fear. "Get out," Liam said, his voice as cold as ice. "This is your last warning, Lily. If I hear you slander Ava again, you will pay the price." Humiliated and furious, Lily grabbed Ethan and stormed out, but not before throwing me one last venomous glare. That night, I received a text from an unknown number. "You think you've won? Just wait. I'll make sure everyone knows how filthy you really are." The next morning, my phone buzzed non-stop with notification alerts. Opening it, I saw that social media had exploded. A post titled, "The True Face of a Wealthy Family's Daughter-in-Law," from mistress to climbing the ladder, was being shared everywhere. It was full of vile slander about me, claiming I had been involved with Liam long before and had deliberately approached Ethan just to get into the Carter family. It even insinuated that Noah wasn't Liam's child. My hands trembled uncontrollably. These vicious lies had already begun to affect my work. Several important clients called to say they wanted to pause our cooperation. Years of hard work felt like they were about to be destroyed overnight. When Liam saw what was happening, he immediately contacted the PR team and the lawyers, instructing them to start collecting evidence to file a lawsuit. "Don't worry," he told me. "I've already sent someone to trace the source of that post." 3 days later, the tech team confirmed that the IP address of the post came from the hotel where Lily had been staying long-term. The evidence was undeniable. At the same time, the people Liam had sent to verify Lily's medical history came back with a shocking discovery. The doctor who had been in charge of Lily's case reviewed her old records and compared them with her most recent checkup results. He was stunned to find that her health was completely normal. She had never suffered from any illness at all. Her so-called terminal disease had been nothing but an act, a 5-year-long scam. Liam laid the evidence out in front of Ethan. Within moments, Ethan had driven straight to Lily's hotel. "You've been lying to me for 5 years?" he roared as he burst into the room, his face dark with rage. He grabbed Lily by the throat. "You were never sick, were you? Answer me." At first, Lily tried to argue, but when faced with the ironclad medical reports, her mask finally slipped. "So what if I wasn't?" she sneered. "If I hadn't pretended to be sick, would you have left Ava at the altar to come with me?" Ethan shook his head in pain. "I gave up everything for you. I abandoned the woman who truly loved me, all for a carefully planned scam." Lily curled her lip in disdain. "Don't pretend, Ethan. You're just the second young master of the Carter family. Do you know why I came back to the country? Because I was running out of money. I needed you, my personal ATM, to keep funding me." Ethan staggered back a few steps, the last shred of tenderness in his eyes disappearing completely. Rage overtook him. "Get out. Get out of my life." That night, Ethan sat alone in the corner of a bar, downing one glass of strong liquor after another. In his mind, the past 5 years replayed in a haze of regret and foolishness. In the early hours of the morning, drunk and reeking of alcohol, he posted on his social media, "Ava, I was wrong. Completely wrong. I never should have let you go. Give me another chance, come back to me." The post was accompanied by a photo from our college days, when we were still young and innocent, full of dreams for the future. The post quickly caused a stir. Countless media outlets took screenshots and reported on it. Soon, the hashtag about the Carter family's second young master publicly confessing to his sister-in-law shot to the top of the trending list. When I saw the news, embarrassment washed over me. I immediately tried to call Ethan to tell him to delete it, but he never answered. When Liam saw the reports, his face didn't change much, but the pressure in the air around him was suffocating. Over the next few days, he seemed like a different man, speaking less, spending even less time at home. Often, when I went to bed, he still hadn't returned, and when I woke up, he was already gone. The dining table was left with only me and Noah, the atmosphere so quiet it felt oppressive. A week later, Ethan's newly opened company suddenly received a notice. Due to suspected commercial infringement, they were ordered to suspend operations for rectification. Even Ethan, slow as he could be at times, immediately understood whose doing this was. Like an enraged lion, he stormed into the Carter Group headquarters, crashing his way up to the top-floor CEO's office. "Liam Carter, you've gone too far. Who gave you the right to shut down my company?" Liam calmly set down the document in his hand. "It's just business competition. Your company infringed on our patents. I'm handling it by the book." "Bullshit." Ethan slammed his hand on the desk. "You're doing this because of my social media post. You're taking revenge on me." The argument between the brothers escalated quickly, nearly coming to blows. Fortunately, Mr. Carter arrived in time to stop them. "Enough." Mr. Carter's voice cracked through the room like a whip. "Do either of you still remember you're part of the Carter family?" He turned to Ethan. "You're 30 years old, not 3. Can you try using your brain? Do you have any idea how much trouble that post caused for Ava and Liam? Was it not embarrassing enough for the Carter family already?" Ethan lowered his head and said nothing. That night, Liam came home unusually having had a drink. There was a vulnerability and unease in his eyes I had never seen before. "Ava," he said suddenly. His voice was low and hoarse. "Ava, I'm afraid of losing you." I froze, unsure what to say. He went on. "When I saw Ethan's social media post, I couldn't help but think about your past with him. I was scared that you'd regret choosing me back then." I wrapped my arms tightly around him. "Idiot, what are you talking about? The person I've always loved is you, and it will always be you. The past is already behind us." The next day, the Carter family held an emergency meeting. In the end, they decided to transfer Ethan to the company's U.S. branch. Officially, it was announced as a major responsibility to help expand overseas markets. In reality, it was to get him away from the chaos here and prevent further trouble. Surprisingly, Ethan didn't object this time. Maybe he realized that staying here would only make everyone miserable. I thought life was finally settling down. One bright, early autumn morning, I was taking Noah to kindergarten when I spotted a familiar figure loitering suspiciously near the school gate. The person wore oversized sunglasses and a hat, clearly trying to hide their identity, but the exaggerated effort only drew more attention. It was Lily. I instantly grew alert, gripping Noah's hand tightly while quickly dialing the number for the bodyguards Liam had assigned. Lily seemed to notice my wariness. She gave me a twisted smile and slowly walked toward us. Long time no see, Ava Collins. She took off her sunglasses, revealing bloodshot eyes and a sallow complexion. Her whole appearance screamed exhaustion and instability. I positioned Noah behind me. Lily, stay away from us, or I'll call the police. Call the police? Her smile warped into something ugly. You stole everything that was mine, and now you want to have me arrested? Suddenly, she reached out toward Noah. Come with Auntie. Auntie will take you somewhere nice. Noah's face twisted in fear. He burst into tears, clinging to my legs and trying to hide behind me. I stepped in front of him, my voice sharp. Are you insane? Don't you dare touch my child. A flash of madness lit Lily's eyes. Ethan abandoned me. Liam hit me. All of this is because of you, Ava Collins. Now I want you to feel what it's like to lose the person you love most. She lunged toward us, trying to snatch Noah. But in that split second, a figure shot forward with lightning speed, kicking Lily hard in the leg and forcing her to the ground. It was one of Liam's bodyguards stationed nearby to protect Noah. Seeing the danger, he had acted immediately, stopping her before she could do any harm. Noah was sobbing in terror. I hugged him tightly, murmuring over and over, "It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy's here. No one will hurt you." Security quickly restrained Lily, and the police arrived soon after to take her in for questioning. When Liam heard the news, he rushed over, his face as dark as a storm. He pulled me and Noah into his arms, holding us tightly. I'm sorry. I should have been more careful. The results of the police investigation were chilling. Not only had Lily planned this kidnapping, she had also prepared an even more vicious series of revenge schemes and intended to spread more rumors about me. On her phone, the police found a detailed plan and surveillance photos. The evidence was undeniable. In the end, Lily was sentenced to prison for attempted kidnapping and defamation. After the case was closed, the day before his departure overseas, Ethan came to our house. He didn't step inside, he just stood at the doorway, his gaze complicated, stripped of the obsession and bitterness he once carried. In their place was deep apology and a quiet acceptance. I'm sorry, Ava, he said, his voice low but firm. I'm apologizing for all my selfishness and recklessness in the past. I was a bastard who hurt you and hurt myself too. He turned to Liam, his voice sincere. Brother, thank you for always taking care of Ava, and thank you for forgiving me. I wish you both happiness forever. Before leaving, Ethan crouched down and patted Noah's head. A rare trace of gentleness softened his features. Little guy, take good care of your mom and dad. Grow up healthy and happy. As I watched his figure gradually fade into the distance, I felt a sense of release I had never experienced before. The shadows of the past had finally lifted, and life could return to peace and calm. Time passed like water, and in the blink of an eye, another year had gone by. Over the past year, the storms had quieted, and life was back to normal. Ethan had gone to the U.S., Lily had received the punishment she deserved, and it seemed the dark clouds that once hung over us had been completely swept away. Noah was now in the senior class of kindergarten, bringing home adorable childlike drawings every day. Today was a special day. It was our 5th wedding anniversary. 5 years already, I murmured that morning, glancing at the calendar. From behind, Liam wrapped his arms around me, resting his chin lightly on the top of my head. 5 years, Mrs. Carter. To celebrate, we decided to revisit the seaside town where we had our very first date. This time, we brought along our little tag-along Noah. 3 hours later, we stood on that familiar beach. The sea breeze brushed gently against us, the sunlight warm and tender as it shone on our family of 3. Noah ran excitedly across the sand, collecting shells and chasing seagulls, his face lit up with pure joy. At dinner, in the seaside restaurant we'd reserved, I ordered the exact same dishes as 5 years ago. Remember? I swirled the wine in my glass before clinking it gently against his. This is where we had our first date. Liam's eyes shimmered with tenderness. Of course I remember. That day, you wore a blue dress, and your hair was a mess from the sea breeze. I was surprised by the detail of his memory. I didn't expect you to remember so clearly. I remember everything about you. He took my hand, his gaze full of love. Under the moonlight, we walked along the beach. Noah was at the hotel's children's play area, so it was just the 2 of us. Liam, thank you for your love and companionship all these years, I said, stopping to look him straight in the eye. You've given me a complete and happy home." He pulled me gently into his arms. "Actually, I've never told you this. I liked you back in college." The confession stunned me. "What? But we didn't even know each other then." "Do you remember the campus singing competition in our sophomore year? In the finals, you wore a white dress and quietly sang The Past Slowly. There were so many people in the audience, so much noise, but your voice went straight into my heart. But at that time, you were already with Ethan, and I didn't want to ruin your relationship, so I never said anything." I stared at him in disbelief. "So on the wedding day, when you appeared in the banquet hall?" He nodded. "I only came to give my silent blessing. I never expected things to turn out the way they did." He paused, then added, "But I have to admit, when I saw you so heartbroken, part of me was glad, because it gave me the chance to be close to you." The sea breeze carried a cool edge, but my heart felt warm. It was as if all the past hurt and pain had been gently healed in that moment. When we returned to the hotel, we picked Noah up from the play area and brought him back to our room. Watching him sleep peacefully, Liam and I exchanged a smile. This was our greatest happiness. The next morning at breakfast, Liam received a message from Noah's teacher. His painting had won first prize in a city-wide competition. "Looks like our little artist is going to be famous," Liam said proudly, ruffling Noah's hair. Noah ducked his head shyly, but his eyes sparkled with confidence. "I'm going to open the biggest art gallery in the world." In the sunlight, Liam walked toward me, holding Noah's hand, their tall and small shadows stretching long across the ground. Their smiles were pure, brighter than the sunshine outside the window. I knew this was my happiness, the truest, most steady kind, held tightly in my hands after all the storms we had weathered.